Hey everybody, it's me once again. Thank you, happy to be here. And I am testing out another OS new to me. I feel like I have to say that when I do any of these videos. Something that I've never run before. What I've got on my computer today is Ultramarine Linux. It says here it's Ultramarine Linux 44. I am running the XFCE desktop environment, which I do with most of the versions of Linux that I'm going to be installing onto my Distro Hopper. But I have installed it. I'm not running it from a virtual machine or anything. What you're seeing being recorded right now is being recorded on this laptop that I installed Ultramarine Linux 44 onto. So let me go ahead and just pull up some information, and it's actually right here on our latest news screen. So I didn't even tell it to pick a random distribution this time. I just went ahead and picked what was on the top of their list. I don't know. Maybe this will help with the video gaining attention. Just in case anybody wonders what Ultramarine is. I've barely run it, so just so you know, this is definitely just surface level, just scratching the surface of what it has to offer. But let me go ahead and I'll minimize this and I'll pull up my little, what do I have, a fast fetch. So you can see some of the specs of my system here. So this is a Dell Inspiron 5555, which is running, here we go, an AMD E2 7110 with AMD Radeon R2 graphics. Now, again, I'm not sure why these systems do this, and maybe if somebody comments on my videos, you can help explain this, but it does again say, excuse me, that I've got 6.7 gigabytes of RAM installed on my system, and currently, even with this video being recorded, it says I'm only using 1.6 gigabytes, 1.69 gigabytes. So I'm using like 25% of what's available to me in RAM. But my question is, why does it show 6.7 when I've installed two 4 gigabyte sticks of RAM into this machine? Now, this is an older machine, and it is only capable of using DDR3 RAM. So I've got two 4 gigabyte sticks of DDR3 RAM in here. But for some reason, most of the installs that I've completed with this system, they all seem to show that I'm using less than 8 gigabytes of RAM. I don't know why, or that there's less than 8 gigabytes of RAM available. I don't know if it's not taking into account what's being used by the operating system and any tasks that are running in the background. Again, maybe somebody watching this video can explain this to me as to why it doesn't say that I have the full 8 gigabytes of RAM available to me on this system, but for whatever reason it doesn't. So I guess out of the 6.7, I'm currently using 1.69 with everything I've got going on. I mean, I guess that's a good thing. It seems to indicate that this is not heavy on system resources. It is using the X11. Is that the windowing system? I know that there's X11 based distributions, and again, this is kind of going way over my head, but and then you've got things like Wayland. I've noticed in the past, considering the system that I'm running it on, again, most of you watching this are probably going to be running a system that's way more capable than what I'm running this on. The whole reason why I do this on this system is, well, for one, it was very economical for me to do so. This machine I was able to purchase for, I think I got it $5 off of Facebook Marketplace. Somebody was just getting rid of it, so I picked it up. Anyway, the reason why I do it this way is just because it's very economic for me. Most people probably don't have multiple laptops and probably aren't on Facebook Marketplace just looking up to pick up a cheap laptop. But the reason why I do these videos is basically to show you that if I can do it on this $5 laptop that I got off of Facebook Marketplace, this will definitely run on yours and probably run with much better performance than what you're seeing on here. But with just the resources that I've provided this operating system, this $5 laptop, I am able to record a video. I'm able to produce the video. In fact, today's video, I'm not sure if I'm going to do this in Caden Live or this other application. I was on YouTube just kind of investigating what options I have for video editors, for video production. And of course, I downloaded Caden Live because that's the one that I'm familiar with. So that's the one I use most frequently. That's one I've used in all of my previous videos that I've created using a Linux desktop. But I also, after watching this YouTube video about like different options that are available, I did come across this other one called Shotcut. And it even pops up with this little thing that says Shotcut is a free open source cross-platform video editor. So I saw some videos that had a lot of good things to say about Shotcut. I've never used it before, so I might be using that instead. If I don't, I will just fall back on Caden Live. Caden Live, for me anyway, has been very reliable software that I use for video editing. And I recommend it. I think it's got everything that I need. If you've watched any of my previous videos, there's not a whole lot of production that goes behind it, but I do edit my videos down. I will sometimes add other video sources. I will sometimes kind of manipulate videos. Like, let's say I found a clip online, and I just want to make sure that I don't just add it to my video as is without kind of making some alterations to kind of make it mine or make it more part of my project. I'll add grain, and I'll add all kinds of things to kind of make it somewhat different from the source, if that makes any sense. Because I don't want to just be taking other people's property. And in the clips that I use, whenever I add something to my videos, it's very small. I will never just take somebody's entire video and somehow incorporate it into mine, unless it's like something super short, like a few seconds long. So I use Caden Live for almost the entirety of my journey with Linux, which has just been about a year, maybe a little over a year now. And Caden Live has been excellent. I use that application a lot. But let's get back to what this video is about. So this is about Ultramarine Linux 44, and I believe it is Fedora based. Let's see. I'll go ahead and click on. Okay, Ultramarine Linux. Yeah, it is Fedora based. And it says here the origin is Thailand, which is kind of cool. I haven't tried an operating system that had Thailand as its origin. Let me go ahead and reduce all that stuff. But yeah, it is Fedora based. Let's see. Fedora based distribution, extra package repositories, RPM, Fusion, and enabling multimedia codecs. It says here it can be considered a spiritual successor to the Korora project. I haven't heard of that before. Aims to make Fedora a more desktop-friendly experience. Yeah, so far, if I had to speak to that, it seems to be pretty true. This is what my desktop looks like. It does have the start menu, or whatever you want to call that, up at the top, which I'm kind of familiar with. I believe the installation on another laptop that I have of Catchy OS, and I'm still not sure exactly how that's supposed to be pronounced. I hear it Catchy a lot. I also hear Catchy used a lot. There is no S in Catchy, but I guess I could see how you could pronounce it that way. But I'm going to pronounce it Catchy. But in the installations that I have of Catchy, I believe the start menu is in the upper left-hand corner. Same with, I think, Kali Linux. The installations that I've done of Kali, I think, have also been the same way. So anyway, you got your application start button here. Got all of our different categories of applications. So let's get into like installing new software. So this is what came on here. It's this just the software is what it's labeled. It's the software store, and I'm not sure if this is like the what you would normally get with a GNOME desktop environment. There's OBS Studio right there, and yeah, so you just go in there and just click on the search button, search for my app. So okay. So here we go. I typed in Kdenlive, and for some reason it pulled up Kdenlive and Dolphin. But as you can see, I've already got it installed. But this is how you would explore the software store and get things installed. I can get rid of that. Here we go. We got OBS Studio. So I installed that obviously because I'm recording through that application right now. And let me go ahead and you can see it right here. So there's my recording. And I'm going to pull up my terminal again just so you can see this. So country of origin is Thailand, and it's based on Fedora. So the first Linux distribution that I've ever installed, well, actually, no. I keep on having to remember that this isn't my first journey with Linux. Long ago, back in the early 2000s, I did install, what was that called? It's not available any longer, or at least not under the same name. Oh man, it escapes me right now. I even mentioned it in a video before because I had booted up this old machine that I had in my garage, and it didn't boot up to Windows, and it booted into a Linux environment, and I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, but this had to be like 2006, maybe even earlier than that, 2005, something like that. I had tried a version of Linux, and it did run KDE. It was just KDE. It wasn't even called KDE Plasma. They didn't have a Plasma back then. It was just KDE, and it had the Conqueror web browser on it, and it was not what KDE Plasma is now, but it was still a graphical desktop environment, and it worked. I just didn't have a whole lot of experience because I did that while I was in the kind of process of considering moving. Shortly after I installed Linux on that computer, we packed up all of our stuff, and that computer went into a box, and I just never did anything with it after that. So I found the box, I booted up the computer, and there was Linux, and I was like, oh yeah, I do remember once upon a time and long ago that I had tried Linux. And it was a totally different experience than what I've got going on now. It wasn't unusable or anything, but it definitely, I would say on my part anyway, it took more effort to get working than what we have available to us today. Getting back to what I should be concentrating on, this Ultramarine Linux. It says here it does offer different desktop environments. So you've got Budgie, GNOME, KDE Plasma, and XFCE. Given the limitations of the laptop that I'm using for my distro hopping videos, I'm almost always going to go with XFCE if it's an option. However, I think I heard something recently where maybe even XFCE is not going to be utilizing X11. And again, I will be using terms that are way like above my pay grade, way above my level of experience. I just know that the XFCE, the X11, and I think this is like a windowing system is the term that I think is what X11 falls under. X11 is different than Wayland. So to make a long story short, you've got different desktop environments. I want to say that I guess the top three, the top two are GNOME and KDE Plasma. But there are a lot more others. Yeah, there are a lot of others that you can choose from. XFCE, from what I hear and from my experience, seems to be a more lightweight, which means it frees my system up to do more things than have them, be used to control, what's going on with the desktop. I can use them for uh, making sure there's more resources available for me for video editing and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this video short. There's a lot of noise going on in my house right now. It's the World Cup. People are excited. So yeah, this just been my experience with Ultramarine Linux. If you have any suggestions or recommendations on what you think I should be trying next, definitely consider letting me know. And who knows, your recommendation might just be my next video. And with that, I'm gonna peace out. So later.